For this lesson, we are going to create our first revenue driver. Now there's three ways to connect. At least three ways to connect. One is through a brand new spreadsheet, and that's what I'm going to show you first. It's with a little bit of practice, very easy. Then I'll do another lesson where we connect from a template. That is extremely easy. And then somewhere in between is connecting with the browser. This is all my opinion anyway. So I'm going to open Excel. I've already done the hard part, which is download and install SmartView and configure it. I will select Options, and under the Advanced Options, this is where I have to paste in the Conduent server address. So we have other documentation on that, but that is a prerequisite. So now I'm sitting here with an empty Excel workbook, and I want to do some planning. Nobody's helping me. They just say, go do your plan. So here's what you do. I click on Panel, and I go to my Shared Connections. I should be prompted to log in with my user ID and password. I've already done so, so I don't see that step. But now I'm looking at a blank screen. It's a little intimidating, but you'd probably click that down arrow, and now you have 5 servers to choose from. We're going to go to Hyperion Planning Fusion Edition. You can click any of the other ones if you want, and you probably won't get anywhere since your ID is not set up. There's no harm in looking. I probably shouldn't say that. There might be a little harm in looking, but you want to go to Hyperion Planning. Now you just expand the pluses. PL Plan is the name of our customized planning application. You don't really need to know that, but just for background. These two items here are actually Essbase cubes. Essbase is a technology. It's a product that lives beneath or with several Hyperion products. We at Conduent have been referring to Essbase over the past years, referring to a group of databases. But now we probably have to refine our understanding a little bit when we say Essbase. But I perhaps digress a little bit. Our goal here is to do a plan. So if you've gotten to this point, you're doing well. You want to expand task lists. And I'm showing quite a few here. You should only see the user process task list. If you see others, there's no harm in that, but you want to go to user process, double click on it. And at the moment, we have one user process listed, run a forecast. We could add more in the future. Again, hit the plus. I'm still hitting pluses. I haven't done anything. Now, expanding these task lists, there's no harm. You're not going to run any programs. But what we're looking for here is the Create or Modify Revenue Forecast. So the first time I came into the app, this perhaps was a little confusing, a little cumbersome. But once you realize you can expand these and not hurt anything, perhaps you'll be okay with doing it. Now that I'm here, I simply double click and I have a new form. Or let's just say something happened. If you go to something else, we're going to cover these other features in other lessons, but things will happen. You have access, but my advice is stick with Modify Revenue Forecast for now, because this is really the key. So now that I've opened the form, the next thing I need to do is pick my planning cost center. So I was working with payment services earlier, so it remembered that. This particular planning cost center has no drivers in it. I'm going to contrast that with one that I know does. Now these, I have access to all the planning cost centers. That's why there's so many here. Let's go to Card Services, Service Offering, hit refresh, and you see there are 3 drivers associated with external revenue, volume recurring external revenue. So if you are tasked with updating a planning cost center, it's quite easy. The 3 drivers are here, cards, transactions, claims, and all I need to do is look at my existing forecast or plan and see if I want to change anything. Mechanically, I am in Excel, so I can make use of some of the Excel features. That's what's nice about the SmartView interface. And I simply change. So let's just say instead of $5 a claim, it's $5.25. This is a plan. So so once you make your change in this interface, you simply hit submit. So it's that simple. I just updated the plan for this driver. Well, let me show you the complete scenario of starting with an empty planning cost center. Our expectation is you will not start with empty planning cost centers. At least the Q3 forecast has been loaded. But if you need to, you simply, as it says, right-click, come down here to SmartView, and select Add Row. Now when we add a row, this is a revenue driver. We have to select a revenue account, and we have to select a driver name. I'm going to hit the search. Notice my member selection is account. And a shortcut is I can search for it. So we know we're looking for external revenue. I'll just do external. And we get there. I could also just type revenue. And I'll get to here. I would see something like this. You do have to go to the lowest level, so even external revenue, if I try to select it, well, it'll let me select it here, but it'll error when I go to the next step. So I'm going to remove both of these by selecting these middle arrows here. I'm going to expand external revenue, and this is where you pick your revenue account. For our standard revenue drivers, we'll be selecting external, revenue, volume recurring, volume non-recurring, or potentially fixed fee. So for now, we're working with volume recurring. I select it, I say OK. Now I have to indicate how many drivers are associated with that account. And let's say I've got 2. I'm prepared to load 2 drivers, accounts and minutes. A shortcut is, I happen to know the drivers are in the format of 00123. You'll figure that out pretty quick. If you don't know that, which I did the first time I used the app, you start surfing down the tree, and there's a lot of choices here, but the first choice, you want to end up with total standard drivers. Let me back up and do that again. So right here is where I have a lot of choices, and if we remember that we're working with the standard drivers, I now have drivers 1, 2, 3 through 10. We can configure 10 drivers per account. So that's actually a lot. So remember I was talking about 3 revenue accounts, that's a total of 30 drivers. So I've now hit OK. Get a message that I'm successful. If I don't see anything here, then I picked a combination that's not allowed. If I want to save some screen real estate, I can shrink this panel over here. So now I've set up 2 drivers against the external revenue volume recurring account. So my next step is to choose my driver type, and this is where I look for minutes. And my second one is going to be accounts, which is right here. You can scroll through all the choices. We have some generic choices in here, such as items or transactions. If you don't see the exact words you like, we do want to summarize these driver quantities at a company level. So that's why we have a drop-down list. After you've made your choices, I'm actually going to change this and pick something I know won't work. I go to Smart View and submit the data. This validates my choices. So green is good, red is bad. Hyperion is not happy with this. I need to change it. So I'm going to go back to Accounts. I have the option, and I'm just going to hit Submit. It's very quick. And I'm good and good. I have the option of putting a comment here. Probably don't need that if because I know I'm in the Payment Services Treasury offering, the volume recurring account, and I'm doing minutes and accounts. The one time you might use a comment, in my opinion, is if I had two categories of minutes. Let's say they had very different prices or very different staffing. Difficult. Or maybe that's comprehensive support, and maybe we have another type of contract that's basic support. But the comment field is there for your use. I'm going to submit again just to make sure everything stays green. And now I've got my rate, my quantity, and my throughput. Rate, quantity, throughput. So I'll just say we get paid $1. We've got 1 million. And each person can do 100,000 a month. This will give us a notional head count. Quantity divided by quantity by FTE gives us an notional FTE. That's why the quantity per FTE is so important. All right, these minutes have a different rate, 25 cents. I'm just making, and each person can do 100. You do have the ability, to shrink or expand the columns as you wish. And now I hit Submit, and these numbers have been sent to the server. So that's all there is, starting from a blank spreadsheet, how to get into a task list and create a revenue driver.